Bevo, you making us live? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. We're covering a few contentious Kentucky political issues this week. Some stories that we've talked about too much, I think, honestly. And I'm excited, though, to cover them again, because there are new wrinkles coming in each and every week, seemingly. And then, very, very thrilled, we have got former state representative Cherlynn Stevenson with us, former Kentucky 6th District Democratic candidate, longtime friend of Kernels of Truth, really a kernel of truth herself, and thrilled to just get her take on that race, how it went for her, what she's up to these days, and what's next in the most important thing, which is flipping the 6th district. So we're going to get into all of that. But before we do it, let's check in with our co-hosts. Let me know who you are, where you are, and who's on your BITIN list. And I'll start. I'm Aaron. I'm in Chilesburg, the beautiful hamlet of Chilesburg in Lexington. And my BITIN list is Matt Bevin. That's who's on my BITIN list today. It's Matt flippin' Bevin. We'll get more into that later. Kimberly Cecil Jones, are you there?
I sure am. How are you doing? How's everybody doing? It's so good to be alive in the world today. However, it's a great day here in Jefferson County and Louisville, Kentucky. Feels really good out there. And on my BITIN list, which is the most obnoxious person of the week for me, is Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, who happened to come here to the United States today to meet with Trump.
All right, and next up, Dr. Clardy.
First, Brian Clardy here in Murray, Kentucky. Good old sunny, overly humid Murray, Kentucky. On my BITIN list is someone who would say to Benjamin Netanyahu, hold my beer. Senator Rand Paul has won the award for most obnoxious senator of the year. He showed completely out in the committee hearings today. It was an embarrassment. His treatment of Dr. Fauci was abysmal. I'll just leave it at that.
I didn't get to finish saying why.
Now,
can you hear me?
I don't know if Annabelle put together a graphic. We are 96 days out.
Can you all hear me?
Can
anybody
hear me? 96 days out from. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
I don't know what happened to my hearing.
Okay,
I don't know why I can't hear people.
Okay, because I was trying to tell you guys why.
Okay, it says people can hear me. I can't hear me.
Netanyahu was.
I love this tech. It is just the coolest. I'm sorry, I can't hear anyone else. So,
wow, I can hear you though. I can hear both of you clearly. Now I can hear no one.
This is the excitement of live podcasting and radio.
Our tech is falling apart.
Makes it wonderful.
All right. Well, since I'm going to try one more time to get in the show, you guys just run with it. You know, I think we got some news stories to cover.
We do.
So let's do the news, and then maybe we'll keep our fingers crossed, and the technology gods of AI will let me back in. We'll see what happens.
All right.
I was just saying about Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm.
He came to the U.S. today, but here goes the problem with him. Because of his bullish ways, because of his lying, because of his this complex he basically has at this particular point of where he wants world domination. He wants Israel to be at the top of the food chain, so to speak. And we're all tied up in his mess, right? And basically his reception coming into the United States today was absolutely cold. It was beyond chilly. It was icy. So that's the reason why I picked Netanyahu.
And I can't say I blame you because honestly, and you were being very kind, honestly. Benjamin Netanyahu, let's call him what he is. He is a war criminal. He has carried out crimes of humanity against Palestinians living in Gaza. Now,
Yes.
I understand. Listen, Israel probably needed to get their lick back after October 7th. I can kind of see that. But to demolish a civilization, to kill tens of thousands, maybe more, of men, women, and children who had nothing to do with October 7th, that was overkill. And I mean that in the most terrible way. And I think you're exactly right with regard to Benjamin Netanyahu. No doubt.
And who do you have? I know you got a good one for this week.
Well, of course, Rand Paul. Want to state again here again. Rand Paul.
Rand Paul, what did he do?
Okay, he chaired a committee here, and he had Dr. Fauci before him. And I do not understand the rights fixation with Anthony Fauci. The man probably saved more lives than otherwise if maybe one of Trump's henchmen had been in office in 2020. But he raked Anthony Fauci over the coals and even threw his lawyer out of the committee room. Now, from what I understand, sometimes witnesses are entitled to have a counsel with them, especially if they suspect that trumped up, and I mean that in the literal sense, charges are going to be thrown at them. But he excoriated Dr. Fauci. He excoriated the lawyer, and he acted very unprofessionally today. And I'm ashamed of him. But don't blame me, because I voted for Jack Conway, Jim Gray, and Charles Booker.
I can't believe you all got Rand Paul on there. You know, y'all was loving him the other week.
I wasn't.
See, I say y'all, not you. But look, as the old folks used to say, did you see Dr. Clardy? He was getting indignant. He's like, it wasn't me. Wait a minute. Don't put me in that bull crap.
At all.
Aaron, you back?
Maybe. We'll see. I don't know.
We missed you, man, for that 60 seconds.
All right. So where are we at in the show?
You're going to talk about your next thing as far as the big day for our campaign to defend democracy.
Yeah, so big day. I spent some time at the post office today. We posted about 10,000 handwritten postcards to voters in the 6th district. As folks know, we are working diligently to flip the 6th district. No more bootlickers. And it was a pretty big deal, right? So that was a lot of volunteer hours that went into those huge bins of postcards, right? So those are going out to voters who don't tend to vote that great, especially in midterm elections. We have a whole plan. We're starting our deep canvassing. So if you want to come to if you're in the 6th district, if you want to come to Lexington, we're going to be pretty specific about where we do our canvassing, but we're doing some deep canvassing, following up these postcards, which aren't just, hey, go out and vote. It's a survey asking voters their concerns and how they think politicians are doing addressing their concerns. Spoiler alert, most people think politicians are not doing anything to make their lives better, which, I know politicians, some work really hard, but right now this political system is not delivering for most humans. And so we're going to have that conversation. We're going to tie it some deep canvassing. We're doing deep canvassing trainings. They're virtual Thursday and Sunday, but then we're going to be out knocking on doors on Saturdays. We're going to do that for the next, 96 days. So if you want to take part, if you want to do the thing that is actually shown to increase voter turnout by over, 50%, looking at the study, depending on the studies, if you want to take part in this deep canvassing, do something that really will make an impact on this race and could be the determinative project to win this race, we'd love to have your support. We've got a sign-up form for that story training for deep canvassing. We'll share that. And I bet Annabelle can find it at some point and put it in the chat. But yeah, so that's what we're doing, and it's exciting. And so now I think we're going to do News of the Week because we are a little bit late because we have the technical difficulties. All the technical difficulties. So let's do some news, huh?
Yeah, the first story is about our former governor who was just on your BITIN list, and for good reason. This story coming out of the Lexington Herald Leader. Former Governor Matt Bevin misses again court in Kentucky over a child support case. Okay, let's look at this from two ends. First of all, why is a former governor having to defend himself in a child support case when he came across as a candidate and his governor is pro-family. That's one question. And the second one, why is he missing court feeling that he's above the law? People have been arrested for not returning for jury duty. People have been arrested for not showing up in court. So why is Matt Bevin feeling that he cannot show up in this case, which is a very serious case? Some serious charges have been made against him to have his day in court. What's the deal? Why is he being given a pass? That's my question.
I mean, there's an arrest warrant out for him, right? There's a bench warrant out for him. I can't imagine him ignoring the judge and not showing up again means that bench warrant goes away, right?
Right.
We need somebody get to Maine or wherever he's hiding out and get this guy arrested. How do we do that? Who knows anything about the law? I don't know anything about this part of the law at all.
But apparently this is a great deal of hubris and arrogance on his part. I mean, I kind of always knew that about the guy, but now he's really letting his true colors show.
And if we remember, the primary reason he is not showing up, A, is he doesn't want to be arrested, but why he is not kind of following through in the court orders is he does not want to release his financial documents. Because the guy's not paid income tax since like 2022, which again, Brian, Dr. Clardy, if you and I tried that, we'd be arrested. But you know, he's like elite class, and this guy has a lot of money. Like he is a rich guy, so he is, just a typical kind of Epstein class guys. You know, they're rich, they get away with anything. They're taking care of one another. The law doesn't really apply to those folks. Yeah. And this is just disgusting. And just remember, this guy wanted to be our governor. He was our governor, wanted to be a governor again. Thankfully, Andy beat him, so we didn't have to deal with more of his shenanigans.
5,000 votes, thank God.
5,000 votes, which between Kim's campaign and my campaign, I'm pretty sure we were the reason that Andy won.
We were.
And then just remember who his running mate was, right? who was all cool with what Matt Bevin was all about. That was Dr. Ralph Elder Care Abuse Alvarado. More about him later. All right, what's our next story?
The next story is something that I most definitely love to talk about. If I could talk about it all day, every day, I could. And about the accolades of our wonderful governor, Andy Beshear. But we need to also remember that our governor, Andy, is also an attorney, and he used to be the attorney general of our state. With this particular situation, we're talking once again about Mitch McConnell. It never, ever goes away. It appears like it just never goes away. And our governor is getting really, really tired of the bullcrap. And I say that word a lot now because everything to me is just about bullcrap at this point. Mm-hmm. You know, he is telling McConnell's team basically, okay, fine, fair and well, you put out this picture, whatever. You said you put out a couple of statements, whatever. But here goes the deal. You're supposed to be recovering in a rehab facility for a fall that happened, and you were hospitalized on June the 14th. And a lot of the GOP has said that they had spoken with McConnell on the phone, and that he has not shared any type of verbal or video statement publicly. So McConnell's team, or supposedly, quote unquote, McConnell said this week earlier that he is not yet medically cleared to head back to the Senate floor, but plans to do so when he can. He was already planning on retiring from the Senate at the end of the year, but our governor is getting really fed up and tired. He's basically like, where's the proof? You remember Wendy's used to have, where's the beef? Our governor is saying, where's the proof? We need some verbal documentation. We need a video. And matter of fact, our governor did a press conference and was quoted in saying, actually, you need to show us that you can work, or you need to retire. You need to let it go. But also our governor knows that it could be in our best interest also that McConnell continues this farce, because any other person in 2026 would have put out information to secure the public's thoughts and processes about the validity of his illness and his ability to go back to work. And we are the ones that hired him. I didn't vote for him, but my tax dollars does pay his salary. And then the next thing I want to talk about that our governor has done absolutely amazing as usual. He came out and made a statement before that possibly with these budget cuts and things that the Republicans were actually doing in Frankfurt, that it may be some suffering for some of our disabled individuals. And there were many, many people that spoke up that had disabilities, all types of disabilities, autism, physical disabilities, all these type of things. And our governor was being very honest with us, those that are on Medicaid, that they would suffer this reimbursement cut for like caretakers, senior meal programs, all these type of things. But our governor came out and said this week that $255 million from our taxes, as well as additional revenue, will delay any cuts to Medicaid reimbursement through this fiscal year, which ends at the end of June of 2027. So out of this money, we are still going to be able to keep our state senior meal programs. We are still going to be able to keep everything that they've been having before for Kentuckians that have intellectual or developmental disabilities who need nursing facilities or immediate care facility level of care. He also said that none of this money isn't any type of data center payment, because that had been brought up to our governor as well. Where is this money coming from? In the state of Kentucky, we're going to get some data centers. You must be getting some money from that. He made sure to tell us that this is not going to be any type of data center payments. So because of the strong fiscal management by the Beshear administration and a strong economic surge late in the fiscal year, we in Kentucky turned a $156 million deficit into a $476 million surplus. So that tells you our governor really works around the clock. So I'm really proud of him, and I'm glad that all of those individuals will not see those reimbursement cuts. They can sleep a little better tonight and have more time for their strategy before this ends in the fiscal year of June 2027. Back to you, Aaron.
So he's doing some work, he's doing some things. I love that he's like, stiff arming the General Assembly, who wanted to just roll through those big ugly bill cuts to some of the most vulnerable. So thrilled that he doing what's necessary to help protect the most vulnerable. That's awesome. I will say this, and we've talked about the Mitch situation ad nauseum on this show, because every week it's still a story. And there are people losing their mind on the internet over this, right? And I think the loony left on the liberal corners of the internet really need to just rein in a bit, because again, he's an old guy, but who benefits from some weekend at Bernie situation, right? Who actually benefits from his handlers trying to prop him up and make him seem a lot more alive than he is? Like right now, the only people that benefit are the Democrats, because he's not showing up to vote, right? And the only people that can really say that he's not doing his job and he's not a member of the Senate would be the folks who run the Senate. And the governor doesn't actually have that power, right? So that's why he wrote the letter to the Senate. But let's remember who runs the Senate. It is like Mitch's handpicked successor. So those guys are not going to be like putting a lot of pressure on Mitch to hurry back, if he's not up for it. They're going to give him all the space he needs. And he probably won't. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I've not examined the guy. We know that Andy can't just waltz into the room and give him a physical, right? But I do think they're going to give him all the time he needs, and maybe he's never going to make it back to the Senate floor. And boo-hoo. But what I know is he won't be voting for all of Trump's horrible things in all the time that he is not making it back to the Senate floor. And so I don't think we're losing out here, people. If you're progressive, you're liberal, if you want to, see Trump's agenda held up somewhat, then him not being around is a good thing.
And it also eliminates the possibility of Todd Blanche becoming for real Attorney General, which is a good outcome for me.
I didn't think about that, but you're right. You're right. That could really work in our favor. I hope and I pray. I just get, I hate to be so disappointed. And it's just like every time you turn around with Kentucky politics, national politics, even at the local level, right here in Louisville, Kentucky, our mayor who's running again, Mayor Greenberg, he was out, doing what mayors do, going here and there. And, there were some people that really kind of like some protesters and stuff that really kind of like just went up in his face, right? Because people are tired. This is 2026. We are so worn out. I'm exhausted. Are you all exhausted? But we got to keep knowing what's going on. We have to. Because if you blink, stuff has changed and you don't even know it's changed.
Yes.
Laws in Kentucky just changed on the 15th, just a few days ago. Do most people know what laws were changed? Okay, you'll get pulled over by the police. They don't want to hear, I didn't know that law changed, but we have to bring the information to the people. We have to.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that those new laws took effect recently. I think Hellbender, Olivia at the Hellbender put together a list of all of them. If you want to know, they've been a great new resource coming on the scene. Olivia Krauth, obviously somebody who's been, watchdog on the ledge for quite some time. We had her on the show recently, though. She's now got a new news outlet that she is kind of helming here locally in Kentucky. So we can find that link and put it in there in the chat if you want. But so folks should know what laws are coming on the books for sure. But speaking of politics in Kentucky, because that's all we speak of, our Super Bowl is happening this weekend. And Dr. Clardy, you have been in attendance at the Super Bowl. I have never been there. Apparently mutton is served. And I would love to get your take on what's happening with St. Jerome's this weekend.
Well, this weekend is going to be the Super Bowl of politics in Kentucky. The eyes of the nation will be on Kentucky as the St. Jerome's Parish Picnic, otherwise known as the Fancy Farm Picnic, will happen as it does every first Saturday in August. It is a very well-attended event, and this one is even going to be even more so, especially since former House Democratic leader Rocky Adkins, who also served as a chief advisor to the governor over the last several years, just entered the 2027 gubernatorial race. We're going to have, as Al Cross mentioned, we're going to have a very invigorating race on the Democratic side next year, as we have two very strong candidates, Jacqueline Coleman, the lieutenant governor, and Mr. Adkins running for the governorship. The story reported out of the Kentucky Lantern, written by McKenna Horsley, Adkins to join politicians speaking at Fancy Farm after launching Kentucky governor bid. That is just one race that's going to be covered. You're going to have several others. Charles Booker, our Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate, will be running against Andy Barr, who will also be in attendance. We'll have congressional candidates. Actually, Jamie Comer is actually coming home to the district. We don't see him that often, but he's going to be here this weekend, and he will have a competitor. He will have Drew Williams to contend with at Fancy Farm. Our statewide constitutional officers will be there, candidates from across the gamut. It is going to be a very exciting day in Western Kentucky this weekend, and a very hot one. And you mentioned the mutton, Aaron. The mutton, the pork, everything is great, but I'm going to tell you, having been a veteran of Fancy Farm, bottled water is your best friend.
And you better bring a chair.
Yes, you better bring a chair, because getting those benches are not guaranteed, and they're very hard too, by the way.
And you better bring a portable fan, like the kind you could put around your neck, or those hats with the fan or something, because it is hot. I used to go all the time. It's not as great as it used to be, in my opinion, but I've been to Fancy Farm, but I don't really plan on going this weekend whatsoever. Like, no.
And interestingly, I won't be there this weekend, if for no other reason. This coming Saturday will be me and my mother's birthday. So I will be watching from home, but no, I will be in the cool of my own living room.
Well, I'll just look at them online or something to see what they're talking about.
I probably shouldn't acknowledge this. I shouldn't, lose my legitimacy, whatever I had as a political commentator on Kentucky politics. Never been Fancy Farm. I feel like it is really far away, and from me here in Lexington, and also like often it seems like the candidates I really want to support don't show or weren't going to go. So I was never that compelled. It seems like there's a much better showing of Democrats this year. So that's great. So
That's a plus.
Show up
That's a
wherever.
plus.
That's the new media environment, right? The new media environment. So if you want to run a successful campaign, you got to show up everywhere you're kind of allowed to be. And in some places you aren't allowed to be, just to get your message out there. So I'm glad that Charles Booker's showing up. I'm glad that Drew Williams, is that his name?
Drew Williams, yes.
Anyone who's running against Jamie Comer.
And let me tell you, Williams is putting in the work. He is showing up everywhere around the district. Something that Jamie Comer doesn't do hardly anymore.
Yeah, no, Jamie Comer he's safely ensconced in D.C., it seems like. But now he's got his eyes on that governor's race, seems like. All right, let's we're going to just skip. We had one quick story about data centers. So the Kentucky Center for Economic Policy just did an analysis that showed that thanks to the GOP supermajority in Frankfurt, these data centers that no one seems to really want could cost us billions of dollars in tax revenue because of the way our incentives are structured for data centers. So that's certainly something that, again, thanks, Ledge. Thanks for really standing up for us. And as this rush of data centers are coming our way, really important to have that type of analysis. We'll have the Kentucky Center for Economic Policy on soon to talk about some of the work they're doing. But yeah, really important that we get to our guest who we've left. We're a little behind schedule because we had the tech difficulties. Thanks for hanging with us. Really thrilled to have back on the show former State Representative Cherlynn Stevenson. She is a long time Kernels of Truth participant. We've interviewed her maybe a million times. I don't know. That's probably a bit of an overstatement, but lots. For a weekly show, we've had her on a heck of a lot because she's always doing interesting things. She's always working really hard for the people. Obviously, the last time we had her on, it was as a candidate for the Kentucky 6th District Democratic primary, which did not go Cher's way, but as back here to talk about what's going on now. So Cherlynn, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, hey, thanks so much for having me. How are you?
Always a pleasure to talk politics with Cherlynn Stevenson.
Yes, absolutely. A couple things. Aaron, get your butt to Fancy Farm.
Yeah, not today, or not this weekend.
You gotta go. You gotta go at least once. And here's the deal: there are farmers there who grow a garden solely for the purpose of feeding everyone the weekend at Fancy Farm. So it's just all of these like really great garden fresh veggies, and it's a good time. Now, people either love or hate Fancy Farm. I am one of those really weird people that tends to enjoy it, even though it is without a doubt the hottest place on earth.
No doubt.
No question about it. But it is a good time. But I do know over the last few years, some of the friendly joking has gotten a little bit meaner. So that makes it a little bit hard. There's good fun and ribbing one another, but sometimes when it turns actually mean, it's not quite as fun. But if you've never been, you absolutely should go experience it at least once.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of years back, maybe the it seemed like the discourse, we'll call it, was a little more crude and mean, and it was just a lot of blatant homophobia and not cool. Like not at all cool. We should have different politics, but it shouldn't be cruel.
No, it shouldn't. And the year that I spoke, unless the people there can vote for you, typically you don't get to speak. But I was invited to speak on behalf of the charter school amendment that was going to be on the ballot in 24. And so I spoke. And then Aaron Marshall, who was running for Congress against Jamie Comer that year, spoke. And we were the only two Democrats there. So that was not the funnest day I've had at Fancy Farm ever, but I do think it's important for us to keep showing up down there for the Democrats that are there, that they know that we're invested in being there and participating. That church, it's their largest fundraiser of the year, maybe their only fundraiser of the year. So it keeps them going. But the tiny little town of Fancy Farm enjoys bringing, having everybody in and they enjoy it. And again, it's a time for them to show off their tiny town and the wonderful food that they grew in their own backyard. So I think everybody should go at least once.
All right.
Cherlynn, do you remember with the Mike Breuer and at his farm in Chicken Bristol, Kentucky?
Yes.
His farm. Remember, I was out there. We had a ball.
We had a great time.
He called it the Not So Fancy Farm.
Yes, I remember.
And I talked to them, and they said that we could use it if we ever want to do something on this side of the state. We could have the Not So Fancy Farm event.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. I actually talked to him just a couple months ago while I was running. I called him for a donation, and he was very eager and happy to help. He and his wife Lynn were great people, and they sold the farm, they bought an RV, and they were traveling around, and then they sold the RV and they bought a boat. And so
they got a big yacht.
Yes. Living the life, man.
That was like my brother, and I was the co-chair of his campaign. We're talking about Mike Breuer, listeners and viewers. He ran for U.S. Senate back in 2020.
2020, the last time, that folks ran against Mitch.
Mitch.
That was another contentious primary. But yeah, Mike was on this show. He would pop in from time to time. I would see him in the comments, so he was still checking in on us. But maybe the boat doesn't get as good at internet, kind of like my house right now. Maybe,
probably not.
So Cher, we haven't seen you for a minute. How are you doing after that hard fought race? There were a lot of good candidates. We had them all on the show, and I think everyone showed up in their best possible way. But yeah, how are you managing this?
Well, I am good. And y'all, I started running for office in the fall of 2017, and I have either been running for office or holding office since then. So I was tired when this race was over. I'm not going to lie. And I slept a lot. I've been traveling, when you're in elected office, if you do the right thing and you really are trying to serve the people and work your absolute hardest for them, you sacrifice a lot of time with your family, with your friends. And I don't think a lot of people understand or appreciate what that is. Politics is a dirty game, and it's so easy for us to jump on people and complain about what they're doing or not doing. And so it takes a lot, and families really sacrifice time with their folks. So I have really been trying to make up for a lot of lost time. I've been doing a lot of traveling. I think I've taken 4 or 5 different trips. And my sister cousin just got married in Florida this past weekend and was happy to be down there. So been doing great. I'm reading for pleasure again, which is something I hadn't really done in a long time. My cats are loving the fact that I can be home more often than not. Jelly is really mad if I get up and get a cup of coffee and don't go back to bed and let her get in bed with me and cuddle in the mornings. So, we're returning to a new normal around here, and some of it's kind of nice. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, I think, the House schedule, especially, right? Every 2 years, you got a campaign, and your district was never easy. No. Made harder by the legislature, your friends there. And then, running for a contested congressional seat, which, clearly folks see the 6th as a potential flip, right? Like we talked about it ad nauseum, right?
Absolutely.
And we had people that showed up who I had never heard of before, who I'm gonna run because it's an opportunity. So
yes, absolutely. And I still think it is a golden opportunity. I think if this seat's going to flip, this is the year that it's going to happen. I still think that Democrats are going to have a great November. If we can trust our elections, we know that this Trump administration is doing all that they can to try to be sure that we cannot trust our elections. But that is something that we have to just stay vigilant about. I'm really proud of all of the secretaries of state that have popped up and said, no, you cannot have our voter rolls and things like that. So I think that it's going to be a really great year for Democrats. I think people are just absolutely fed up with what's happening in Washington, D.C., with the GOP having the trifecta and essentially the Supreme Court as well. So there's a lot of work still to be done this fall. And, I was a caucus chair. I could count to 51. And in this case, I can count to 218. And that is the magic number that we absolutely have to get to. And so, I just without a shadow of a doubt believe that we're going to get there.
Yeah. And so you're all in on flipping the 6th.
All in on flipping the 6th. I'm all in on helping Adriel Camuel retain her seat as well. She is one of my very best friends. Adam Moore, has a race as well. But Adriel's my girl. I've actually been stuffing some dog treats for her. People have stuffed thousands of dog treats for me. And so I finally actually did something for someone else. So that was kind of nice, though.
I'm sure it won't shock you, but you probably heard we're going to start our deep canvassing.
Yes.
We're starting our deep canvassing in the 45th district.
Right.
And, we're not talking about elections yet. We're not talking about candidates yet. We're just talking about, why voting matters and what's going on right now, how people are viewing their political system. Because, there's just, we're weirdos. This is like, you were talking to like the weirdest people, right? Because we care passionately about, national and state politics.
Yes.
Most people don't even know who their state rep is.
They
right?
really don't. They're
Which
so
I hate to say
unplugged.
that because you're right here, Cherlynn. But
but it's true. But it's true. I mean, I lived that life for a while, so I absolutely know. You have to connect the dots for people. You have to help them understand why voting matters and really what's at stake. But we're living in a time right now that I believe most people should understand what's at stake. If for nothing else, I think a lot of people voted for President Trump because he was out there saying he was going to make life cheaper, and the only thing that has happened is everything has become more expensive. Just, from housing to hamburger, it's terrible. And people are hurting. People are really struggling. Even those that weren't necessarily before, it's hard. My husband and I talk all the time. I don't know how people who have kids do it right now, because it's tough. It's really tough going to the grocery store, filling up at the pump, paying your utilities. It's just the demand, more and more and more of our resources are going to that. Fewer and fewer people, have disposable income. I've had a few friends that have been to Disney, and they talk about how not crowded it is, which I think is a huge indictment of the fact that, people just don't have the disposable income that they have had recently. And it's not good. We are supposed to be the greatest country in the world, and our most vulnerable have always been struggling. But when the middle class is absolutely disappearing, we've got a problem. We've got big, big problems, and the folks in Washington right now don't seem to care. So there's, massive, massive urgency for this November.
100%. Yeah. I want to turn to my co-hosts here, Dr. Clardy or Dr. Jones. Would you like to ask a question?
I'm still just Kim from the block.
And we love you.
But it does sound good, though. I'm not going to lie. It just sounds good for a little bit. Anyway, my question is this. I love Cherlynn. You know that? I just do. When she smiles, like, I'm telling the truth. Like, I was feeling like blase, right? And then I see you smile, man. Now I feel kind of happier.
Oh, good. Yay.
I really do. You're good for the mental health. So this is what I want to ask you about.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's very concerning to me and has been concerning to many, many people. Just want your take on it. You know that, it's a very scary time about these data centers and, how much money it's going to cost us, what it's going to do to the environment, and, what selected areas are they going to put them in. Mm-hmm. But now we have a situation where I'm reading about in New York, they're now starting to use, utilization review nurses, AI. And they have replaced 12 jobs in the Bronx. 12 nurses have been let go for these 12 utilization review nurses. Now, this company, the reason why I'm bringing this up, because this is happening in New York, like, yeah, okay, whatever, New York. Right. But guess where the second place? They've got 3 locations right here in Kentucky. It's called, the company is called Datavant. Datavant is the name of the company. You all can Google it. And what they're doing, slowly but surely, is they're using these utilization review nurses, moving into total robotics to replace nurses. And the second state where they want to start doing this, low in the pocket, I call it, down low, type of situation, real quiet. And the second state is Kentucky. I don't know if everybody knows about this. I just stumbled upon this yesterday in the Courier Journal. If anybody is really interested about this, because everything we thought could be happening is happening at a more rapid pace right now, in my opinion. So, what are your thoughts about that? How can we stop that from happening? Can you stop it from happening?
I think we can. I think we should. But that requires enough people being elected that are willing to do the right thing and not bow down to big money so that this can happen. I started out in nursing in college and decided after a while it was probably not the best idea for me. However, when a nurse lays eyes on a patient and you gather this objective and subjective information to try to then determine the best way to treat this patient. And I think every single one of us know wonderful, wonderful doctors, but they also need wonderful, wonderful nurses. And we know that nurses tend to look at patients in a more holistic manner than sometimes a doctor does. A doctor may come in and want to treat you solely they look at you and they see the disease that they're treating, not necessarily this holistic person. And so I think that nurses are superheroes. And the fact that it is a profession that's dominated by women is concerning. I think direct patient care and the quality of that is very much at risk because of this. We cannot trust AI just yet. I mean, we just saw what happened when our military folks tried to use AI and they ended up bombing a school. That's a pretty drastic mistake. And when we are talking about people's individual health, that is not something that we can take a risk for. I mean, okay, so we have self-checkout at the grocery store, not the same thing as a robot coming in to help be part of my treatment plan when I am ill. So no, I think it's awful. And I can understand why they came to Kentucky, because we know that we are a healthcare desert. We know that in the rural parts of Kentucky that we have a provider shortage, from LPNs all the way up to, surgeons. We have provider shortages. So I can see why some folks might look at that and think that that could be a solution, but I don't think it's a solution at all. I think it's just another big problem that ultimately will have to be solved. So again, I think this is another place where elections really matter. And I think we've got to get people in there that are willing to stand up to big tech, to big pharma, big healthcare, all of these things, and say, no, this is not in the best interest of our people. Just because you want to make money, this is not what's best for our environment. This is not what's best for our communities. This is not what's best for small towns that are going to be asked to pay the brunt of the utilities for you to run this data center. This is not the best thing for our soil to pollute our water. And, there's just this laundry list of issues that are popping up. And I don't blame communities that are raising a ruckus and trying to fight them being in their communities. But the problem is, we as a society have decided that we have embraced big tech and we love it, and we are massive mega users of Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all of these things. AI is being used within the business community. We see it being used in the educational community. And so at some point, you got to pay the piper if you're going to dance. And this is where we are. So this is a huge, almost crisis for humanity right now. Are we willing to keep going down this path so that we can have instant gratification in some janky photo that we want to pull up on AI, or we want to take the shortcut to make a flyer, or any of those things? Or what are we willing to sacrifice to have that convenience?
Yeah. It's a huge issue. It's one that, as you point out, you have to have elected officials who are willing to go to the mat against big tech. And if we recall, there were like 19 billionaires on the dais when Trump got sworn in this last time. He is in bed with pretty much all of them. And so no one in the Trump administration has any interest in doing anything about AI. And of course, he's the one who sets the agenda for Congress. So they're not doing anything about it. It is terrifying to me that this technology is coming in all these different ways. No one's no one's inviting them into your community. You're not inviting them into your laptop. Mostly they're just getting forced down your neck. And there might be some conveniences, certainly, that they offer, but there's a whole lot of risk. There's a whole lot of bad data they pull up. They don't actually do awesome work. So it just seems crazy to me that the one thing that a political system should help us address are these types of massive, fundamental shifting technologies, and there's nothing.
And we have been living through a time of massive deregulation, and it has begat us just monopolies out the wazoo. We've got monopolies in our media, in our healthcare, in technology, and we are not the better for it. That supposedly was the biggest, capitalism is supposed to create competition, right? And keep things low. But when we deregulate and we just keep allowing these large conglomerates to come around, I mean, I think we have 2 drugstores now in all of the United States. I mean, you got CVS and
Walgreens
and the Walgreens.
I mean, that's it. And it's just insane. And so where does that end? And again, that comes back to getting good people in office that are willing to step up and say, nope, not on my watch.
I hate to be a Debbie Downer. I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but it sounds like we're going through a second Gilded Age.
We are quickly coming to a period of have and have nots.
I want to say this. I forgot his name, but his organization is called the Operation Hope. And I first saw him, I think he was 18 years old. He was on the Oprah Winfrey show back in the day. And he, at that young age, after those South Central riots out there in LA, with Rodney King and all of that, some kind of way he was able to rebuild communities, build banks, start teaching little kids in kindergarten how to write a check, understanding how to balance your money, teaching kids in elementary school, starting them out with the stock market, Wall Street, all of that. And this organization, he does that in different cities. And do you know the rate of people defaulting on their loans is less than 3%? Okay. And you don't even have to have collateral or great credit. Just you have to prove that you have the drive, determination, the passion for this business or to have this new house. And that's how he built up South Central, an 18-year-old boy. Wow. So we know now he's much, much older. He has this great organization, and several of us, and also when state representative. What was his name? He used to be commissioner, and he passed about 3 years ago. Well, he was commissioner at the time. He brought him to Louisville.
Mhm.
So it was several of us, including him, working with him. But you know what? The thing about Louisville here in Jefferson County, we couldn't meet the numbers. We couldn't meet the numbers. There's so many other cities, and I think it was Hannah Drake that wrote about this, or maybe it was someone else, maybe Sadiqa Reynolds, I'm not sure, but about just in the state of Kentucky alone, and also here in Louisville, we have a really, really, really bad problem of bringing small businesses in. Small businesses are the actual foundation of our country. And that's the only way you're going to be able to move out and get people to stop this mentality that we just have to go to the big box stores. We got to go to the chain stores. And I mean, what do you think that, could be done in this state for something like that?
I mean, I think that we have, there needs to be some type of incentive. And part of the problem is, as our Republican-led General Assembly is, driving down our income tax over and over and over. That means that there's fewer and fewer dollars to play with in our budget. And so that makes it then even harder to offer tax incentives to small businesses, folks like that, for us to be able to make that investment and that incentive for those folks to go out and open a small business. It's just so much easier. But you see this happen in small towns all over. When I was a little bitty girl growing up in Hindman, Kentucky, down in Knott County, we had a thriving downtown. There was a children's store. There were 2 clothing stores. There was an ice cream store. There were just 2 auto parts stores. I mean, it was just a thriving downtown. And it's so sad now. There's the bank's not even downtown. There's a courthouse and a jail and a video store, maybe. I don't even know. There's just nothing there anymore. And we had all of these little stores, but as soon as the Walmarts and things like that came, those places just couldn't be sustained anymore. And so again, we have let these mega corporations just eat up small town living and small businesses. And we get some cheap stuff, but are we really better off for it? I don't think that we are.
Daryl Owens.
Yes.
Daryl Owens.
Well, we've kept you quite a bit, Cher. So, Dr. Clardy, any final thoughts you want to, or questions you want to ask?
Yes.
Cherlynn?
And mine's a relatively quick one.
Sure.
Cherlynn, you still sound very passionate about the issues of the day and your commitment to public service. What's in your future?
I don't know. I don't know if you'll ever see my name on a ballot again. I know that, I'll still be in the fight in very subtle ways, but maybe just not leading from the front anymore. But I love my community. I love Kentucky. We deserve so much better than we are getting in Frankfort and Washington, D.C. right now. So I will definitely be behind the scenes if I'm not out front, pushing folks, helping folks, and just trying to make life better for, the communities and neighbors that I love.
But you did, I understand there is some news we're going to break here on this show that relates to Cher and maybe seeing her face on a yard sign again. Cher, what's
yes, it was so funny. He told me today, he was like, "Are we going to break any news tonight?" And I said, "Well, I'm thinking about getting my real estate license." So yeah, so I can't get away from yard signs. So that's going to be if I'm not going to run, I'm just going to I will try to buy or sell your house. How about that? Now I have a girlfriend that has been on to me trying to encourage me to do that. And so I think I'm going to, not sure that that's exactly the career path that I'm going to head down now, but as I'm really trying to decide what I want to do and where I want to focus my energy, I'm probably going to definitely do that. But yeah, I'm open. Anybody out there have really great lucrative job for me? I'm open.
All right. Well, I'll be frank. I'm a little disappointed. That's the only news we're making tonight, but I do appreciate the work you bring to the fight. I know that flipping the 6 is critical, and that we've got 96 days, so everyone needs to do everything they can in those next 96 days. And you've got some very determined and committed folks who have helped you through your campaigns, Cherlynn. So I hope they are very soon encouraged to get involved in whatever we need to. We got our postcarding, we got our deep canvassing. Come on over. We're not going to be doing any endorsements until later towards that election. So we got some important work to do, and we'd love to have y'all's support. Team Share is a real force. I'm
so glad that you all are doing the deep canvassing. It's so important to do, and it's not easy work. So thank you all for doing that. Absolutely. And I'll be out if anybody wants to help knock doors for Adriel. We're gathering at the Tate's Creek Pool on Saturday morning, so I'm definitely going to be there.
Gotcha. All right. Y'all have a great night. Dr. Clardy and I will take over the duty of closing this out. We lost Kim. She had a hard stop. So let's see. You did the bulk of the news story. So I'll go ahead and close this out tonight. Okay. And again, Dr. Clardy, it's just always a pleasure to talk politics with you.
Same here.
Thanks to Cher. Thanks to Kim. Thanks to our producer, Annabelle. Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization. We are registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State. We are organized as a 501c4. We are affiliated with the Indivisible Project and Common Ground Kentucky Action. And we're also proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. We'll be back next week, and we'll be joined by Representative Adam Moore, and Dustin Pugel, who's with the Kentucky Center for Economic Policy. We're going to dig in on the one big ugly bill, cuts to Medicaid and Medicare, and what exactly that bill is doing to our state. Production of episode 269 was by Annabelle. Thanks, Annabelle. Nate Orshan wrote and performed our theme song. You can find more information and music at nativesongs.com. If you miss our weekly live stream on Facebook or YouTube, audio podcasts and our show notes are available on Apple, on Spotify, and really wherever you get your podcasts. If you do listen to the pod, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you are listening right now. And I do apologize for any technical difficulties that made the beginning of the show a little hard to listen to. Sometimes the internet's not what you need it to be. But thanks again. Hope to see you next week.